Hello, everyone, and welcome to Quiz Time. I'm Ellen, your host, and today we will be looking at 100 questions, 100 trivia questions for you. Let's see how many of them you get correct. Let's begin. Question 1. In 1971, Intel introduced the first microprocessor. What was the number assigned to this revolutionary product? 4004, 8080, or 6502? 4004. Which year saw the arrival of the first credit card, forever changing personal finance and spending habits? 1950, 1958, or 1962? 1958. What iconic dance craze of the 60s was named after a common object you'd find in your kitchen? The mashed potato, the twist, or the Watusi? The twist. In 1953, what controversial magazine debuted, shocking many of with its content, but becoming a cultural phenomenon? Life, Playboy, or Time? Playboy. What 1965 novel sparked widespread controversy for its themes on race, poverty, and the American dream? The Catcher in the Rye, To Kill a Mockingbird, or In Cold Blood? In Cold Blood. Which 1957 film, considered one of Hollywood's finest epics, won a record-breaking 11 Academy Awards? Ben-Hur, The Ten Commandments, or Gone with the Wind? Ben-Hur. What medical breakthrough in 1955 dramatically reduced the incidence of a crippling disease affecting children? The polio vaccine, the smallpox vaccine, or the MMR vaccine? The polio vaccine. In 1963, a notable speech by a civil rights leader in Washington, D.C. symbolized the movement. What was its opening phrase? I have a dream, we the people, or 407 years ago? I have a dream. Which invention in 1968 forever changed home entertainment by allowing users to record and play back TV shows? The VCR, the cassette tape, or the transistor radio? The VCR. In 1951, which type of television show format premiered, offering a real-time glimpse into people's personal lives? Reality TV, soap opera, or sitcom? Reality TV. Which social phenomenon in the 60s led to the creation of communes, free love, and counterculture movements? The hippie movement, the Beat Generation, or the rock and roll revolution? The hippie movement. In 1964, which company launched the first compact cassette tape, changing how people listen to music? Sony, Philips, or Panasonic? Philips. What iconic product, first marketed in the 1950s, claimed to be the first to bring color into home viewing? Color TV, Kodachrome film, or Polaroid camera? Color TV. What 60s toy caused a worldwide sensation when people began testing their balancing skills with a plastic hoop? The hula hoop, the yo-yo, or the slinky? The hula hoop. Which 1960s invention allowed music lovers to carry their favorite songs wherever they went in portable form? Cassette tape, 8-track, or vinyl record? Cassette tape. What iconic dish did astronauts consume during the Apollo 2 moon landing, 1969, marking a space exploration milestone? Beef stroganoff, freeze-dried ice cream, or chicken a la king? Freeze-dried ice cream. Which 1962 thriller film starring Gregory Peck explored the deep-rooted fear of a dangerous ex-convict seeking revenge? Cape Fear, Psycho, or The Birds? Cape Fear. Which form of communication, launched in 1962 with Telstar, connected people across the Atlantic for the first time? Satellite TV, telephone lines, or the telegraph? Satellite TV. Which 50s invention, often used in Cold War espionage, transformed how people recorded conversations secretly? The miniature tape recorder, bugging devices, or two-way radio? Miniature tape recorder. Which 1967 law passed by the U.S. government banned cigarette advertising on television and radio nationwide? The Public Health Cigarette Smoking Act, Consumer Protection Act, or Federal Cigarette Labeling Act? The Public Health Cigarette Smoking Act. In 1964, the Beatles first visited America. What airport in New York did they land at, starting Beatlemania? JFK, LaGuardia, or Newark? JFK. Which 50s fashion trend became famous for its full skirts and narrow waist, popular among teenage girls? Poodle skirts, bell bottoms, or mini skirts? Poodle skirts. What popular candy from the 1950s had its name inspired by the sound it makes when you eat it? Pop Rocks, Twizzlers, or Lifesavers? Pop Rocks. Which political scandal, uncovered in the early 70s, ultimately led to President Nixon's resignation in 1974? Watergate, the Iran-Contra affair, or the Pentagon Papers? Watergate. In 1963, which daring television series became popular for featuring weekly missions involving espionage and covert operations? I Spy, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., or Mission Impossible? Mission Impossible. Which technological breakthrough in 1958 allowed for the development of smaller, faster computers? Mainframe, vacuum tube, or integrated circuit? Integrated circuit. Which 1969 film, considered a pioneer of modern science fiction, was known for its stunning visuals and philosophical themes? And the answer is 2001: A Space Odyssey. Upon the country's entry into the space race in 1958, what was the name of the first American satellite sent into orbit? Explorer 1, Vanguard 1, or Telstar 1? Explorer 1. Which famous band released their debut album in 1967, launching them into stardom with hits like Light My Fire? The Doors, the Rolling Stones, or the Byrds? The Doors. What iconic 1950s board game designed to simulate real-life careers became hugely popular with families? Risk, The Game of Life, or Monopoly? The Game of Life. In 1964, which comedy film by Stanley Kubrick offered a satirical take on the Cold War and nuclear conflict? Dr. Strangelove, Fail Safe, or On the Beach? Dr. Strangelove. Which famous 1961 novel by Joseph Heller coined the term used to describe a no-win situation in decision-making? Catch-22, Lord of the Flies, or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? Catch-22. What was the name of the first U.S. interstate highway completed in 1956 connecting Baltimore to Washington, D.C.? I-95, I-70, or I-64? I-95. Which 1969 groundbreaking music album by the Rolling Stones was notable for its mix of rock, country, and blues styles? And the answer is Let It Bleed. What 50s beauty product popularized in Hollywood was known for its greasy kid stuff slogan and became a hairstyling trend? Brill Cream, Aquanet, or Vitalis? Brill Cream. In the 60s, which toy became an instant hit by allowing children to press plastic shapes into colorful, reusable clay? Etch-a-Sketch, Silly Putty, or Play-Doh? Play-Doh. What 1965 novel by Frank Herbert, later adapted into a movie, became a cornerstone in the science fiction genre? Dune, Fahrenheit 451, or Stranger in a Strange Land? Dune. In 1967, which iconic singer became the first woman inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Etta James, Janis Joplin, or Aretha Franklin? Aretha Franklin. Which 60s board game asked players to balance small plastic items on the head of a wobbly plastic man? Don't Tip the Waiter, Operation, or Kerplunk? Don't Tip the Waiter. Which 60s sitcom starring Elizabeth Montgomery centered around a suburban housewife with magical powers? Bewitched, I Dream of Jeannie, or The Munsters? Bewitched. In 1962, which comic book superhero made his first appearance, quickly becoming a symbol of teenage angst and responsibility? Spider-Man, The Flash, or Iron Man? Spider-Man. Which 1966 song by Simon and Garfunkel was featured in the film The Graduate, becoming a cultural anthem for young adults? The Sound of Silence, Mrs. Robinson, or Bridge Over Troubled Water? Mrs. Robinson. In 1953, which color TV technology was introduced, revolutionizing the way people experienced televised content? And the answer is NTSC color system. Which 1961 spacecraft, piloted by Yuri Gagarin, made him the first human to journey into outer space? Gemini 3, Apollo 2, or Vostok 1? Vostok 1. In 1965, which fast food chain introduced the now famous Filet-O-Fish sandwich to appeal to Catholic customers? McDonald's, Burger King, or Wendy's? McDonald's. Which 1950s architectural style, characterized by clean lines and large windows, defined the modern suburban home? Gothic Revival, Colonial Revival, or Mid-Century Modern? Mid-Century Modern. Which 1960s game show, hosted by Monty Hall, involved contestants choosing between doors to win a prize? Let's Make a Deal, The Price is Right, or What's My Line? Let's Make a Deal. What 1950s movie starring Marilyn Monroe featured the iconic scene of her dress billowing over a subway grate? And that is The 7-Year Itch. What 1959 kitchen device became an essential appliance for homemakers, known for its ability to automatically brew coffee? Drip coffee maker, the percolator, or the espresso machine? Drip coffee maker. In 1959, which American-made car introduced tail fins and chrome, defining the era's automotive aesthetic? Ford Thunderbird, Cadillac Eldorado, or Chevrolet Corvette? The Cadillac Eldorado. We are at question 51. Which 1965 kitchen tool revolutionized cooking by allowing home cooks to bake cakes in a short amount of time? The Easy Bake Oven, the toaster oven, or the crock pot? The Easy Bake Oven. Which 60s game, where players tried to guess drawings made by teammates, became a popular party activity? Pictionary, charades, or Clue? Charades. What 1956 movie starring Charlton Heston became one of the most iconic biblical epics of the 1950s? The Ten Commandments, Ben-Hur, or Quo Vadis? The Ten Commandments. Which 1960s political movement advocated for the rights of farm workers, led by activist Cesar Chavez? The Women's Liberation Movement, Civil Rights Movement, or United Farm Workers Movement? United Farm Workers Movement. In 1960, which Alfred Hitchcock thriller starring Janet Leigh shocked audiences with its infamous shower scene? Psycho, The Birds, or Vertigo? Psycho. Which 1955 invention allowed people to capture and view moving pictures on small handheld reels of film? Viewmaster, slide projector, or Polaroid camera? Viewmaster. Which 1964 kitchen appliance made blending easier by introducing multiple speed settings and improved blade design? Hamilton Beach Juicer, Cuisinart Mixer, or Osterizer Blender? Osterizer Blender. Which 1960s toy, known for its red eyes and robotic movements, became one of the first battery-operated playthings? Mr. Machine, Chatty Cathy, or Rock'em Sock'em Robots? Mr. Machine. In 1965, which anti-war protest song by Bob Dylan became a defining anthem for the counterculture movement? Blowin' in the Wind, Masters of War, or The Times They Are A-Changin'? The Times They Are A-Changin'. Which 1957 film, directed by Sidney Lumet, focused on the tense deliberations of a jury in a murder trial? 12 Angry Men, Witness for the Prosecution, or To Kill a Mockingbird? 12 Angry Men. In 1962, who was the first lady who became a fashion icon for her elegant style and global diplomatic influence? Jacqueline Kennedy, Eleanor Roosevelt, or Mamie Eisenhower? Jacqueline Kennedy. Which 1950s children's book, written by Dr. Seuss, taught generations of kids through whimsical rhymes and moral lessons? The Cat in the Hat, Horton Hears a Who, or Green Eggs and Ham? The Cat in the Hat. Which 1968 film by Roman Polanski was known for its chilling portrayal of a woman who becomes pregnant under eerie circumstances? Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, or The Omen? Rosemary's Baby. Which 1954 breakthrough medical discovery by Dr. Jonas Salk helped nearly eradicate polio worldwide? The polio vaccine, tuberculosis vaccine, or tetanus vaccine? The polio vaccine. Which 1960s TV game show hosted by Bob Barker became famous for its bidding-based prizes and big showcase? Family Feud, Wheel of Fortune, or The Price is Right? The Price is Right. What 1967 album by the Beatles was the first rock record to win the Grammy Award for Album of the Year? Revolver, Rubber Soul, or Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band? Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. Which 1953 coronation was the first to be televised worldwide, marking a shift in global media coverage? Queen Elizabeth II, King George VI, or King Edward VIII? Queen Elizabeth II. Which 1962 thriller by Alfred Hitchcock starred Tippi Hedren as a woman terrorized by birds in a small coastal town? The Birds, Vertigo, or Marnie? The Birds. Which 1950s game show involved guests asking yes or no questions to identify a secret occupation or identity? What's My Line? I've Got a Secret, or To Tell the Truth? What's My Line? Which 1964 political campaign used the slogan, "In your heart you know he's right," in support of a candidate? Richard Nixon, Barry Goldwater, or Lyndon B. Johnson? Barry Goldwater. Which 1956 Elvis Presley single catapulted him to stardom, featuring the now famous line, "You ain't nothing but a hound dog"? Hound Dog, Blue Suede Shoes, or Heartbreak Hotel? Hound Dog, of course. Which 60s protest slogan became widely used by anti-Vietnam War demonstrators, symbolizing their resistance to military involvement? Hell no, we won't go. Which 60s sitcom featured a group of stranded castaways attempting to survive on a deserted tropical island? Gilligan's Island, The Love Boat, or The Brady Bunch? Gilligan's Island. What 60s fashion trend was named after a fabric print featuring bold colors and swirling patterns, often worn in tie-dye shirts? Psychedelic prints, houndstooth, or plaid? Psychedelic prints. Which 1967 groundbreaking film about interracial marriage starred Sidney Poitier and Katharine Hepburn? In the Heat of the Night, To Sir with Love, or Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Which 1958 song by the Coasters humorously warned about the dangers of running afoul of a strict housekeeper? Searchin', Charlie Brown, or Yakety Yak? Yakety Yak. In 1960, which medical breakthrough allowed doctors to reattach a severed limb for the first time? Microsurgery, dialysis, or defibrillation? Microsurgery. What 1969 event known as the Summer of Love brought thousands to San Francisco to celebrate counterculture ideals? The Haight-Ashbury Festival. Which 1965 doll created by Hasbro was marketed as an action figure for boys instead of a traditional toy doll? G.I. Joe, Captain Action, or Major Matt Mason? G.I. Joe. We are at question 80. What popular 60s fashion accessory, often worn with miniskirts, featured bold colors and geometric patterns? Bell bottoms, go-go boots, or tie-dye shirts? Go-go boots. What rare phenomenon known as rainbow clouds occurs when ice crystals in cirrus clouds scatter light to form a spectrum of colors? Cloud iridescence, halo effect, or a fire rainbow? Cloud iridescence. Which ancient manuscript with strange symbols and plants has puzzled scholars and codebreakers for centuries? The Voynich manuscript. Which 60s event, commonly called the Summer of Love, was centered around the counterculture movement in San Francisco? The Monterey Pop Festival, the Hippie Revolution, or the Haight-Ashbury movement? The Haight-Ashbury movement. What 1960s car, known for its compact size and affordability, became a cultural icon in Britain and the US? The Volkswagen Beetle, the Ford Mustang, or the Mini Cooper? The Volkswagen Beetle. What 1965 hit single by the Rolling Stones became an anthem of youthful rebellion and dissatisfaction? Jumpin' Jack Flash, Satisfaction, or Painted Black? Satisfaction. Which popular TV series of the 1960s featured a family of friendly monsters living in a spooky house in the suburbs? The Munsters, Bewitched, or the Addams Family? The Munsters. Which 1969 film starred Dustin Hoffman as a college graduate entangled in an affair with an older woman? Midnight Cowboy, The Graduate, or Bonnie and Clyde? The Graduate. What rare planetary alignment occurred in 2002 with all visible planets on one side of the sun? the syzygy convergence, the grand alignment, or the astral union? The grand alignment. Which 1967 film starring Paul Newman featured a rebellious prisoner who refuses to conform to the rules of his captors? The Wild Bunch, Cool Hand Luke, or Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? Cool Hand Luke. Which 1960s slogan became a rallying cry for the counterculture movement advocating for peace, love, and anti-establishment values? Make love, not war, power to the people, or freedom now? Make love, not war. Which 1968 song by Marvin Gaye addressed the social and political unrest of the era, becoming a timeless anthem? What's Going On, Mercy, Mercy Me, or Ain't No Mountain High Enough? What's Going On? Which event in 1962 brought the world to the brink of nuclear war during the Cold War era? The Cuban Missile Crisis, Bay of Pigs invasion, or Berlin airlift? The Cuban Missile Crisis. Which mysterious underwater structure near the Bahamas is linked to the lost city of Atlantis? The Bimini Road, the Ocean Ridge, or the Andros Passage? The Bimini Road. Which 1969 event was a turning point in the LGBTQ+ rights movement sparked by protests against a police raid? Stonewall riots, Gay Liberation March, or the Compton's Cafeteria riot? The Stonewall riots. Which band's 1969 hit, Proud Mary, became one of the defining songs of the decade, blending rock, soul, and funk? The Doors, Creedence Clearwater Revival, or the Rolling Stones? Creedence Clearwater Revival. Which 1964 song by The Animals became an anthem of teenage rebellion and was popularized by its powerful lyrics? House of the Rising Sun, Painted Black, or California Dreamin'? House of the Rising Sun. Which 1966 political campaign slogan helped Richard Nixon win the presidency, promising to restore law and order? Make America Great Again, the Silent Majority, or Peace with Honor? The Silent Majority. Which 1960s car became a symbol of American muscle, featuring powerful engines and sleek designs? The Ford Mustang, the Chevrolet Corvette, or the Pontiac Firebird? The Ford Mustang. Which 1960s British film depicted a group of rebellious young men known as moths battling a rival gang, the Rockers? A Hard Day's Night, Quadrophenia, or Easy Rider? Quadrophenia. Which 1960s musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice retold the biblical story of Joseph and his multicolored coat? Hair, Jesus Christ Superstar, or Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat? Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Thanks for watching this quiz. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.